Hello everyone, my name is Chathura Kulasinghe. I will be basically doing a product overview explaining all the WSO2 products and runtimes available under WSO2 product portfolio so that you could pick and choose these products and technologies based on your requirements. Starting our conversation, this is a quick overview to the entire WSO2 product portfolio. Under this, we mainly offer products addressing 3 different domains, which are respectively API management, integration, and identity and access management. So we have multiple product offerings and different runtimes under these 3 categories, which I will be explaining later. And in the other side of the slide, you can see Choreo, which is our internal development platform, which is a way of experiencing these 3 capabilities, such as 2 capabilities, in fact, API management and integration in the form of a platformless experience. But Choreo doesn't limit itself to just API management and integration. It has a much wider scope, which I'll be explaining later as well. So when it comes to 3 main domains, which I explained earlier, these are some of the common use cases that most of our WSO2 customers have been looking into. For example, under API management, mostly we see requirements for API gateway with API security and complete API lifecycle governance. And another use case is providing developer experiences through a developer portal, which would allow organizations to list their existing APIs and endpoints in a catalog, allowing the application developers to go through these portals and understand what are the existing capabilities and endpoints available so that they could use them within their applications. Other use cases are enhancing API performance and reliability and allowing subscription models for API so that organizations can monetize their existing digital capabilities through APIs. Under integration, the most common use case is application integration. This involves cloud-based integrations or non-application integrations such as ERPs and CRM kind of solutions. And there are data integration requirements under these use cases, such as transforming data object models from one schema to another, or switching the content type of data, or exposing your existing data sources in the form of well-managed APIs. Then we have other requirements such as process automation, facilitating through event-driven architectures to execute integration flows based on events or in the form of scheduled tasks, and also implementation of enterprise integration patterns and orchestrating multiple endpoints in order to deliver a certain integration flow. And under identity and access management, you mostly will see a requirement for implementation of CIAM platforms and workforce identity and access management, which is another domain that we mainly address through our IAM solutions. And you will see common requirements such as authorization and authentication related to web applications and other applications, and mainly identity federation, identity provisioning kind of capabilities, which allows you to use your existing identity repositories through an identity hub kind of solution, which means, for example, if you have multiple organizations or multiple divisions with different user bases, you can bring all of these user bases into one central repository of identity and allow your application developers to integrate things like social logins or facilitating the login and API authentication kind of capabilities through a single point of control using WSO2 IAM products. When it comes to product offering, under these three categories. We have, under API management, we have the API Manager product, which is the most common product that you can download from WSO2 website, which is offered in the form of a downloadable binary package, which can run anywhere that you like. It can be either conventional VMs or a container orchestration system on any cloud space. So this product is available to be downloaded, which is the most common product under WSO2 API management category. And in order to address specific requirements for deploying API Manager on Kubernetes, we have introduced something called WSO2 API Platform for Kubernetes, or simply WSO2 APK. So this basically gives you the same sort of capabilities that API Manager delivers. The API Manager product comes with a certain gateway within that product itself. But if someone is willing to, or someone is expecting to deploy WSO2 API Manager on Kubernetes by executing native Kubernetes commands instead of having to install that manually, they can simply use APK, which is a very focused or targeted solution that we have provided targeting Kubernetes-based deployments. And then we have micro gateway, which is a lightweight gateway runtime. In the normal gateway that comes with the API Manager, what we do is we usually deploy all the APIs in a central gateway. So you can have many APIs deployed within the same gateway. With micro gateway, what we do is we provide a microservices style architecture in order to deploy these APIs. For example, you can encapsulate one API at a time within a single gateway runtime and scale it as a cluster. So that's the approach that we support with micro gateway. In scenarios like where you need to have edge gateway kind of solutions, this is a perfect choice of technology. And at the bottom, you can see Choreo for API management. So just like I mentioned earlier, Choreo is a internal developer platform. Because it's a WSO2 on platform, we provide WSO2 API management as a native feature within Choreo itself, even though it has a much wider scope of capabilities. Then under integration, we have WSO2 Micro Integrator, which is the successor of WSO2 ESB. So at the beginning, at the inception of WSO2 as an organization, we had WSO2 ESB, which is a well-matured or well-proven runtime. So when creating Micro Integrator, what we have done is we have used the same mediation engine or the technology of integration, and we have created a very lightweight runtime which would support implementation of ESB style or microservices style integration flows. That's what Micro Integrator is. Then we have Ballerina, which is a integration focused programming language. Probably you have already gone through this kind of conversation in the past because Micro Integrator or most of the ESB style solutions provide the developers with a declarative programming approach where they can just create mediation flows without coding much, using some kind of a declarative language, what we call as a low-code approach. But if you think about your typical developer organizations, if there are some religious developers who would look for a programming language in order to implement integration flows, this is a perfect solution because Ballerina is a programming language which can be used in order to address integration-specific problems. And it has additional capabilities that other programming languages don't deliver in the context of integration. That's another technology that we have under integration category. Then integration control plane is not an integration runtime. It's basically providing a way to connect your existing integration runtimes and provide you with some sort of a dashboard kind of a solution, which also allow you to execute certain functions in order to govern and control all the integration runtimes that you have in your clusters. And similar to API management, Choreo also comes with these integration capabilities. You can create integrations using micro-integrator or Ballerina and let Choreo deploy, scale, and manage that particular integration on behalf of you. Then under identity and access management, we have WSO2 Identity Server, which is the product that you can download and use in order to build your own identity and access management platform. And the same capabilities are provided through Asgardio. This is a multi-tenant SaaS solution. So if you want to try out WSO2 identity and access management features, Asgardio is the best place to try that out, because then you don't have to download or install anything. You can just create an account and try out all the features available with WSO2 Identity and Access Management. And we also have the capability of providing Identity and Access Management as a private identity cloud, which will be a dedicated environment for your organization, but basically it will deliver the same set of capabilities that we deliver through WSO2 API Manager. Sorry, not API Manager, WSO2 Identity Server. So if you look at the identity and access management platform component in general, so this basically depicts certain use cases that you typically look into when you think of an IAM solution. Under that, you can see the identity server as Asgardio and private identity cloud have been listed as products. The choice between these products will depend on how you would like to host this particular solution. If you want to create your own identity and access management platform and host it yourself, you will be using identity server product, which has the same set of capabilities as other offerings. If you are happy with using a multi-tenant SaaS product, you can use Asgardio. If you want a private cloud environment, which is managed by WSO2 still, you can go with identity cloud, private identity cloud. Similar to all WSO2 products, WSO2 Identity Server also has been constructed as a collection of REST APIs. So whatever the functionalities that you would execute on user consoles or web user interfaces related to API Identity Server, those can be executed through these REST API endpoints as well. So if you want to integrate your IAM solution with your CI/CD pipelines or third-party applications, you can do so by using these REST API endpoints. We also provide a certain set of SDKs also in order to help developers using these capabilities and get the maximum out of the identity and access management platform. When it comes to integrations, basically you can use WSO2 Identity Server to facilitate API security related to any API management solution or other integrations such as biometrics integration, other business systems. Those kind of integrations can be done using the extension points that we have provided with the identity and access management platform. We have a certain connector store as well, which should allow you to download the connectors and connect with known systems without having to do a lot of customizations. This is an overview of the API management platform we have. You can technically divide API management into two main elements, which are called the control plane and the data plane. So in the data plane, you can see we have listed almost all the gateway runtimes that we have. The enterprise API gateway is what we package through WSO2 API Manager. If you download WSO2 API Manager, this gateway is already there. And we have APK in order to facilitate Kubernetes-based runtimes, allowing developers to execute Kubernetes native commands instead of installing WSO2 API Manager manually. Then we have the lightweight API gateway runtime, which is the micro gateway. So these are the elements that belong to the data plane. you can have any combinations of these gateways distributed across different geographical regions or network zones, but still you can manage and govern all of these gateway clusters using the same control plane. So when it comes to control plane, similar to the identity server product that I mentioned earlier, all the functionalities are available in the form of a collection of REST APIs. So we have certain user portals developed, such as the publisher portal, admin portal, in order to control and govern the API manager installation of the platform. This publisher portal allows your users to onboard APIs, enforce lifecycle management, version APIs. Those kind of functionalities can be executed using the publisher portal. Similarly, you can use publisher portal APIs in order to integrate these capabilities with your CI/CD pipeline tools or any third-party application that you may have. And we also have another portal called developer portal, which is the API catalog. So if you have application developers, these can be your internal application developers or some external party who would be consuming your APIs. So all the APIs are listed on the developer portal. So they can go to this developer portal and see what are the APIs available. So under each and every API, they will find the relevant documentation and SDKs, which would allow them to use these APIs within few seconds in their applications. That part is also provided as a collection of API as well. So if you want to integrate another third-party application in order to execute these functions, you can do that through this API. And API security is provided as part of API management solution. So it comes with an authorization server within the WSO2 API Manager package. But you can replace this with something like WSO2 Identity Server or any other third-party IAM solution in order to use that IAM solution as the key server or the authorization server for WSO2 API Manager as well. Under developer tooling part, you can see we have provided certain developer tooling with Visual Studio Code in order to do some configurations. And also we package a CLI tool which interacts with WSO2 API Manager's REST API in order to execute certain functionalities. For example, if you want to integrate the build pipeline or execution of certain functionalities of WSO2 API Manager, you can use this CLI tool within your CI/CD pipeline in order to execute API Manager functionalities using your CI/CD pipeline tools. Then the next is integration. Before talking about integration in general, let's have a look into the typical spectrum of integration developers. So probably you have already have this kind of discussions as well when comparing different integration solutions with each other. We also have had this kind of conversations with customers because there are certain customers who would compare WSO2 integration platform with tools such as Zapier, for example, which are typical citizen integration kind of solutions. So this is an area that WSO2 does not address through our integration platform. We mainly focus integrations related to application and data integration kind of stuff. And the typical developers who are relevant to WSO2 context are the ones who look for low-code integrations or pro-code integrations that we address through WSO2 integration platform. The next slide basically depicts the high-level overview of all of the components that are relevant to WSO2 integration platform. There at the middle, you can see the main runtimes, which are micro-integrator and ballerina. And any runtime can be governed using the same integration control plane as well as a set of CLI tools. So you can use this integration control plane or CLI tools in order to interact with the runtime, integration runtimes, which can be ballerina or micro-integrator in WSO2 context. Under developer tooling, we have Eclipse-based integration studio as well as VS Code-based plugin in order to allow development of WSO2 related integration flows. So with VS Code, we have even introduced some AI-based tooling capabilities, which means you can just type some pseudocode related to whatever the integration that you would require, asking the Developer Studio code, VS Code Developer Studio, to generate the relevant code, integration code, either in Ballerina or the configuration language that we use with Micro Integrator. It will simply allow you to create these integration flows. So you don't really have to know how to program when it comes to development of integration flows. Throughout these years, what we have mostly done using this product is building platforms. So I believe you already witnessed throughout this entire event that most of the deployments that you saw in real-world use cases are also about platforms. There can be many names to those platforms, but essentially what they are, either integration platforms, API management platforms, or identity and access management platforms. And when we kept developing these platforms, there are certain things that we learned throughout the history and about these platforms and the runtimes themselves, as well as the teams and the organizational structures relevant to those platforms. So most of these platforms are typically managed centrally and governed by a COE or Center of Excellence or similar team who are appointed to take care of that particular platform. But the typical users are distributed across different business entities or different teams who have different way of looking into these systems from a business perspective. And the change control process related to these kind of centralized platforms are somewhat tough because the COE or the team who's managing this particular platform has a strict process generally because they own the platform and they have the responsibility of governing this platform. But most of the time, these business units, they have goals from the business perspective. They want to push some change as quick as possible so that they could bring their new improvements or products into the market. But the process is slow, so this hinders some capabilities of business units as well. The choice of technologies, products, or the right architectures or methodologies remain with the COE. So any individual or any team who are responsible for choosing these technologies and architectures, they have to take the accountability if something goes wrong. For example, a platform can be built using a collection of certain vendor products. If one vendor chooses to introduce a new version while decommissioning the support for previous products, these teams typically have to find an alternative and replace that particular part of their platform, and that burden is on them. But with Choreo, like we discussed earlier, everything is handled by Choreo itself. So you can see there's a clear comparison between the traditional software manufacturing process against Choreo. So during this each step, there are certain technologies that you can use. So based on your experiences and findings, you will be choosing certain technologies under different stages. For development, deployment, management, observability, and governance, you will be using different technologies. And you have to decide that. You have to think about the right choices of technologies as well as the architectures. So we have already done this for you through Choreo. So if you adapt something like Choreo, basically you are getting the platformless experience So all the CI/CD pipeline related activities and development environments, the product runtimes, these are being managed internally by WSO2, so you don't have to worry about anything. If we talk about what Choreo delivers, I think you have already gone through this particular slide during the Asanka session as well, under platformless experience. But here, when it comes to things like principles such as API first development, domain-driven design, microservice architectures, and inbuilt security, so these are things that have already been implemented and being encouraged by platform itself. So, for example, in Choreo, we have a way of organizing projects under different project cells. So we have organizations and then projects under Choreo. You can isolate certain programming logic into different projects and allow these projects to communicate with each other through APIs. So the communication is limited and it's being unified. So for example, if one particular project gets compromised by anything, you can just shut it down or kill the communication to that particular project. So that way you have a better control as well. As summary, Choreo is an internal developer platform that facilitates enterprise software engineering and software delivery operations. More importantly, it allows you to focus on your development of your business logic rather than worrying about underlying non-functional capabilities such as building, scaling, and handling resiliency. Those kind of things are already managed by Choreo as well. And just like I mentioned earlier, even though Choreo has API management and integration built in as part of its functionalities, it allows you to bring any technology into Choreo as well. For example, if you have Node.js developers or C# developers, we have build packs so that you can just attach your software repositories or Git repositories into Choreo and allow Choreo to fetch these artifacts from your Git repository, build them, and put them into runtime. It allows you to assign resources as well. For example, you can assign the processing power, how many millicores, and how many replicas that you would like to have in order to scale this particular module. So those kind of things are provided by Choreo console so that you can have a control, but Choreo does this on behalf of you. As upcoming improvements, these are certain improvements in general that applies across all the verticals that we discussed earlier. So we have done recent improvements related to the IDE or enhanced developer experience by integrating things like the AI tooling that I mentioned earlier. And we have introduced multiple CLI tools so that you could integrate your existing CI/CD pipelines and other tools so that you could enhance developer experience. AI integration I already discussed. Service-based extension architecture, which means when you have to write an extensions to existing runtimes, you can develop that as an independent service and attach that to the runtime. Cloud-native optimizations, enhancements of enterprise composability and discovery and security, and more focus on decentralized architectures facilitating microservices style deployments, the cell-based architecture that we discussed earlier, modernization of toolkits. For example, I mentioned earlier about micro gateway. So in a typical environment, you will be using things like a toolkit in order to compile a microgator, because it's sort of independent. It has to be independent from the control plane. So you can use the same control plane in order to govern that, but still, if you want to run that as an independent gateway, you can use the toolkit just to create a runtime using an open API specification without having to worry about rest of the component of the platform. And we also have focus on post-quantum compatibility, for example, in order to prevent attacks originating from quantum computing systems. Those are some of the roadmap items that applies to WSO2 products in general. That brings to the end of our discussion. I think I am on time. We have many essays here today. So if you want to have any kind of a demonstration, quick demonstration of these products, we can always do that during the networking session as well. That's one thing I would like to highlight.